Hi, everybody. I'm in a garbage can or something. I wear all the hats here. You got Wicked Lady Hippy. We are at the bar. Yes, it's my house, my bar, my rules, and I'm a Wicked Hippie. I'm an Army veteran. We were the first cycle, or my company was the first cycle of women to go through regular Army when they disbanded the WAC Corps. We were enlisted in the WAC Corps when we got on the plane to go to Alabama. When we landed in South Carolina and Columbia, we were at Fort Jackson, and that's a major basic training base. My husband also trained there. He's older than me. This is Vietnam era for me, Vietnam for him. No, we're not young puppies. It is a bar. I do drink when I'm up here. I'm out Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'm here kind of like for entertainment purposes only because I don't seem to be getting a lot of hippies. I think this is the best damn thing since AC. It is just so awesome to get up here and go, let's do the round table because they deliver it to my house and my doctors are okay with that. Love those gummies. Full bar. My husband and I redesigned the entire bottom floor to incorporate this bar. We're both retired, meaning we work more now than we did when we weren't retired. I'm home a lot more. I get that. Still working, but I'm home. It's as if you live at home and you make more shit. I swear to God, when I go to sleep, I get up. I think my cats had a block party in the living room. So, yeah, we have a lot of cats. It's another story. I'm a published author. I still need to write another book. But at the rate I'm going, I'm not, mm, I'm just not down with it at the moment. I love this. I was injured severely a couple years ago and I had to stop broadcasting. It was newbie. And I thought it was really cool because we had just redone the house, had the bar, and I thought, okay, cool. I'm gonna, you know, try to do this, and I'm gonna do it from a bar, which is really cool. And I found everybody else had a bar. Mainly, they weren't like at a bar, but they were at a bar because they have crew. Love you, Joe Rogan. Hey, babe. News radio. Love that scene with the chair, man. Hated what happened. Sorry, sorry, days. But bless you. I'm glad to see you're in Austin, Texas. There's just, I have my favorite Shay Shay. Uh, but I don't have that clientele. So what I've got, and I'm going to do that now, is live chat and of course comment sections. If you want to comment, you want to whatever, it's the hippie bar, and I don't need Uber. So I'm here in Augusta, Georgia. We're experiencing a bit of rain, and I fidget. Ladies know all about this. I fidget when I'm up here. My friends and family will not come on with me, and they're fairly intelligent people. I could have some good conversations like we do when the camera's off. It's no different than me, but they don't want to do that. And so for this, it took me almost 2 years to recuperate from my injuries. I have more metal than my car does. I go past the airport, lights come on and whistles and blinking lights. It's just me again. It's so it took me a long time to recover from that. So I'm back. I'm on my set. I had to start a new channel, then put my other one on, of course, suspense because I couldn't do anything, not even Facebook. I was just in agony and I just was confined and not, I just couldn't do anything. And the few times that I was able to at least get in my wheelchair and get up here, I tried to let everybody know that I was severely injured and I wasn't going to be able to do it. But I didn't have an end date because, like my surgeons and stuff, didn't either. So they gave me an end date basically by saying, "We're cutting you loose. You wear shoes now." And I was like, for my right leg, it had been broken in three places and the ankle was nearly detached. So all that is and jagged, and it was fucking fun. Let me tell you, Army say, my husband says, "Oh, you have a potty mouth." And I'm like, "Fuck you." So I do. I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois. I kept getting further south when I come back from Europe with the Army. My first actual duty station was besides Fort Jackson, which is training. Basically, your first job, you just know what you're going to wear to work. I loved it. I used to strip on the bus getting back. This is the base bus, it's the shuttle bus. And you would bring certain clothes with you because I had 71 officers that I dealt with, and I was it for them. and we were a doctor's training hospital. And so what they did, of course, was student teacher and tests, and they really graded on a curve, but like I can't talk about that either, maybe in a different book. In the meantime, I'd done a lot of first in my days between that and when, of course, like I said, we were the first group of women to train with the men, the first company. And we were third Bravo. It never goes away. I've always lived next to a base. Don't know why. I just do. I end up next to a base. Generally, I always worked at one, one way or another. But even since I retired, I right at Fort Gordon. I think they renamed it, but it's Fort Gordon to me, and I'm there. We love that golf thing, that whatever the hell that is. That's always fun. Can't drive around the block. And people rent their houses out like for 5 grand and shit. And my son was going, I ought to do that. I was like, yeah, right. And we've been doing that. If you want to go to the lake and you don't have a lake house, and that's really cool. We used to do it every 4th of July. It got fairly expensive. And we got older, accidents, things like that. So we haven't gone. But it's nice to be able to do that. But there's nothing in there. There's furniture. There's another extra piece of bedding if you need it. Maybe an extra pillow or two. The TV, everything else is there. There's a few dishes. And they have somebody come in right behind you and clean, although they would have wasted their time because when I left, it was spotless. I got stuff they didn't. Be Army, do a GI, a GI inspection. They come in with white gloves everywhere. We won. We were women. The boys did not win any of those. There was not just one, and you never knew what it was going to be. But it was generally when you weren't really doing much of anything, maybe polishing your boots, which apparently they don't have to do anymore. My grandson is also now an Army veteran. I pushed him into Rossi. We got to do this. Not thinking about the fact that the one small time period that I was in that there was no war in, it was the 70s into the 80s. There wasn't a war in that gap. We had just come out of Vietnam, just adding women to the military. So it was a lot of firsts, and it was a lot of fun. If you've never seen Fort, well, there's a couple, but Private Benjamin, which is the funny side of it. Yes, there's the gruesome side too, but I don't want to put off the newbies. When they trainees still, they're still stupid people that like have you fucking radium and shit. Love you, Donnie. The mugshot is like perfect. Yes, I respect President Trump. The man has a sense of humor. So, it's like Gator Gitmo. They call it alligator Alcatraz. I call it Gator Gitmo. I think that's a better tag. I'll call it what I want. Gulf of America. I didn't stop laughing for 5 months. Love the guy. I think he's got the greatest sense of humor. Yet he don't take any shit. I mean, he might be an asshole, but he's our asshole. And I couldn't understand what was going on in my country, that people were actually doing the things and saying the things about President Trump on his first time in office. And I wasn't into politics. I didn't even watch that stuff then, but I was catching pieces here and there. And I was like, well, I'd have dragged your ass out of a press conference and banned you. Free press this, your pictures on the wall. But apparently you can't do that. But reporters can be rude, stupid sons of bitches. And I make that for all of you, whatever tag you call yourself, which I've never seen or met a more confused bunch of people in my life, and I'm a hippie. Yeah, doing all kinds of firsts, and yet I keep running into these group of people. Now, like I said, my grandson is also an Army veteran. He did the Korean thing just came in home at the end of the beginning of the pandemic. So that was fun. And he stayed with me. We had turned the upstairs into 2 apartments, basically. And so he stayed with us. And when you could actually go and look for a job, but he was military too. So that wasn't so hard for him, but it was hard for people to keep the businesses open. He was so bored and wanted to work. He worked at my local Walmart. Only thing open was Walmart and Target. You couldn't go to church, but you could go to Walmart or the nearest, whatever it was, protest. If that's not, it's a weak word. It's just insanity, burning shit to the ground and chanting and smashing and burning places that these people worked at. It's not like they had 15,000 jobs in a row there. There was like a strip mall and, employed maybe 18 people, but those 18 people could walk to work. I've been in those situations. And my husband, of many years now, back in my 30s, I hadn't gotten a license or driven since I had returned from Europe. I took mass transit. It was a hell of a lot easier and cheaper. My husband, however, is an ace mechanic as well as an instructor semi driver, and he's retired as well. He says that he's always underneath somebody's car. I never even ask anymore. Okay, honey, go ahead. I disagree because it's 105 out. It's like standing on the sun for me. Mm. I am allowed, if you'll excuse me, to have my little cigarillos, which means actually I'm double doing. That cigarillo is a little cigar. And I used to love these in Europe because I used to sell my cigarettes to my guys that owned my little cottage in Germany right after I had my son. Because they had such big apartments, you had to wait, you had to wait, you had to wait. I had a child. So, and you couldn't live in the barracks with your child. So I'm trying to live in a hotel and work and have two jobs because I had to pay the hotel. She used to make that much money back in my day. I don't think they do now either. And there's wars. I think there's an actual stipend if you have to be in the theater. But in any event, yeah. So I've been around. I've seen a few things, and every day I think Lord, I can go now. I've seen it all, and I like YouTube. So we got rid of satellite cable and everybody else because they just got stupid, and just kind of browse YouTube and Netflix kind of thing we're wanting to watch. And I've seen some wild ass shit on YouTube. I saw a camel float by. It was in Dubai. They were having it was flooding, which was obvious. It was like the stream of camels. It just floated by. This camera light was right there. I'm like, oh my God. There are camels floating in the fucking desert. And then you go, I was wrong, mea culpa, many mea culpas, Lord. That was not something I'd seen before. I'm going to call that biblical. So I get up here to talk about whatever crosses my mind. I don't have a particular idea per se. When I get off the air, then somebody or I'll think of something. Well, I should have talked about this or that or the other. I've been seeing a lot, but actually very little. Zahi Hawass, the director in God Almighty in Egypt, that won't let nothing out of the pyramids or about them or scanning. And the Yukuwat was the last thing I saw go through. I think it was 94. So it's been a long time, and that man's still around. He's a nasty piece of work. He is. And you don't even try to hide it on camera. He had nasty people. Ooh, I feel for anybody that's under that person. I can't. I wouldn't be for long. When he woke up, anyway. People always underestimate a 5'2" hazel-eyed, strawberry blonde in a suit or a dress. Generally, you won't find me in. I might have dress slacks. Very rarely will you see me in jeans, and I used to be in them a lot. But after my accident in particular, I had changed completely. My wardrobe. My husband's still crying. So you will believe how many stuff I get at Christmas because we go shopping, for the children, the grandchildren, and me. I get 4 or 5 for them. The other 30 are mine. Okay, I'm grown. It's my money. People give me shit about that all the time. My son definitely does every year. Well, mother, where's my one? And it'll be a 6-foot tree, and there's presents through one entire room. And he'll go, just tell me where my one is. I don't want to go there. And they always have more than one, but he said that every year. It's a thing with him. I think this year I might slap him. I've been watching a lot. He also knows I don't have a headband on. I've been desperately trying to make a set of earphones fit me. Some stuff gives you a headache. So here I am. And I will just pop through stuff and probably not finish that thought before I go on another one. About the Egyptians and Zahi Hawass. The 94, I think was 94. Check me if I'm wrong. He had, never before seen, and we've got a tunnel under the right Paw of the Sphinx, and I'd been waiting for this. I'm an Edgar Casey fan since I was like 4. And yeah, I was reading College Level at 9. So yeah, I was reading. Just so you know. Um, Eric Von Daniken, I got the first edition book still. I never got it signed, but I got the first edition. And nobody was looking at that stuff. They all thought he was just nuts. And there's whole sections now of people that are doing what he did with only whatever money he could save to go and do it. There wasn't a bus that went to Machu Picchu. There wasn't a plane you could fly in to see the Nazca lines that was easily and affordable. I remember seeing pictures of him on a camel and stuff. Think of it, just Tiwanaku and things like that. Those they weren't Machu Picchu was talked about, but Tiwanaku, Pumapunku, those he brought those to life. Even I love the movie. Even I still I think it comes on. I watch it too, see if I forgot anything. So I like stuff like that. Yes, Atlantis was real. They said, "Oh, Troy's just this." He wrote this. Well, if he wrote Troy, and one guy who was not an archaeologist said, "Why don't we take him at his word and follow his map?" And he hit Troy. Well, there was like 11 or 12 of them, but he hit that puppy. And on top of that, I still say he must have hit the most recent or close to the most recent. Yeah, he was terrible. He just, oh, it was a terrible mess he made. But he did do it, and all the archaeologists had not. I think he even tried to get some, maybe not. I don't know. I know he had workers. But they did find a treasure trove of a queen. And I think they said it was a queen. It looked like queen's jewelry, which was taken to Germany. And of course, that was prior to the wars, and nobody knows where that went. It's kind of like the Amber Room from Russia that's worth quadruple million. They haven't found it, although I believe they've replicated it now because pictures were taken as they tore it down too, and and stored it. But it's never been found. It's a tragedy, absolute tragedy. So is that god awful glass pyramid that they put in front of the Louvre. What was that about? They hid most of it, the palace. It's just this monstrosity. You can see it's glass all you want. I can't see a darn thing through there. I loved running through Europe and all of, you just wouldn't believe. I used to say, where are the toilets? Now they got them. I mean, in the day, they would put a chamber pot in the middle of behind a wall or something. And yeah, it could be why they invented the. I said I fidget. My eyes start seeming crooked. It's not. It's my glasses, which is annoying. I should just take them off. But then I can't remember where I stuck them at. It's a barn. We'll get back to the pyramid thing. So if you've got any questions about what's going on with the pyramid today and all the stuff they found underneath, woo woo. When they looked in 94, they couldn't get, by the way, into the area under the Sphinx's right paw, where Edgar Casey said there would be found the Atlantean records because water kept coming. It was like islands. The water just stayed there no matter what you did. They pump, pump, pump. Now, I thought that was funny because there was an iron ring on it that was new, this top, and there's hoses everywhere where they've been pumping. And he's like, we are the first to come in here. I'm like, no, dude, there must have been 500 folk up in there doing that stuff. You went by yourself. No, this ain't it. There's light strong and, but their thing was you can't get the water out. Now, we don't know to this day if they managed to get the water out or what have you. If people do things like they've done now with the satellite it's LADAR, I think. In any event, I watched it being used in Guatemala in the country. There's like 60 some odd thousand pyramids that are covered by vegetation. The whole thing's pyramids. So obviously, some of them got more damage than others. Not sure why many of them were abandoned, but if you ask me, there was, I think, they called it a worldwide flood. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I think something happened. There's 200 and some odd myths about a worldwide flood ship, people and some animals. I don't know about the insects, but in any event, yeah, that's what they did. Just your pockets of humans that did live through this. They did prove that there's been asteroids and meteors rather that hit us, like the Chicxulub, which was 66 million years ago. Check me, when it was the last die off of the dinosaurs. I'm worried about, there are pockets where you get, why did all dinosaurs make oil in this continent over here in this continent, and over here in this continent? Why? And that's what I heard that it was. What is oil? That it's from millions of years ago. The I don't know. I don't even know how to describe that, but they erode and become oil. Supposedly, I've never figured that out. I've asked that question a lot. So, and when that runs out, people, what are you gonna do? I watched 2.5 years well, first the pandemic just about tied President Trump's hands between that and their impeachment stupidity. Then we had 4 years of weekend at Biden's. He was doing good. The Easter Bunny could tell him right where to find that rose garden. I don't know if he found the door. Not a problem. That's not treason. It's not secession and treason to take your entire state and say, no, we don't listen to federal law. And if you come here, we're going to not cooperate. And even our judges will show them out the back door. Now, when I was growing up, we called that a civil war. We called that secession from the Union, treason, and traitors. We lumped all of those together. Just another thing I like to throw out there, see if anybody bites. I love paranormal in today's society, especially since 2010. And I've been at this. I was IT. I always ran my own divisions. I'm one of those. I don't follow. You're in my way. Shut up and get back there. I'll tell you in a minute. And so I have always been this way. A lot of people say it's the red hair, and I was like, "No, I'm a bitch. It's just I got away. You're bothering me. I'm not that bad, but close enough. It's got to be my way." My poor husband of several decades could attest to that. So could my children and grandchildren. My granddaughter, my youngest, just started high school this week. I've got, like I said, a grandson who's an Army veteran. Of course, I was 17 when I went active duty. So it would be hard to decide when and where I got out. I love Texas. Fort Sam Houston was my first duty. I think I mentioned it. Might not have. Okay, so with Egypt, I said, well, they can't really say this isn't there. They couldn't stop them from making it public. And still, my head's not wrapping around. It is, because I've said since I was like 8 or 9. What do you mean these are graves? And by then, Tutankhamun's tomb had been found. And I had the Field Museum and all that. So, we could see stuff. And I'm like, okay, you didn't find this guy's tomb for over 3,000 years because all the debris from other digs that you were doing to find a burial of a king or queen, you threw the detritus over the top of that tomb. And then there was a flooded area there, and it washed a lot of more stuff. So nobody had bothered. And one particular guy had seen where everybody had been digging in for decades. And he was like, what about here? And they all said, no, no, there's nothing there. There's nothing. And that's refuge. And they've been piling even more on there, I believe. And there he was, undisturbed, over 3,000 years. Do you think that would have happened if you put him in even the little pyramid? Put let alone the Great Pyramid. Do you think this guy woke up one day and says, I'm going to build the biggest, baddest damn pyramid out here so they can bury me in everything I need in the afterlife? This wasn't just treasure because they wanted to throw it in. This was supposed to be what they had to have in the afterlife, including little dummies that would be servants. I mean, they had it all covered. They find all these mummies, right? I mean, they found a lot of mummies, a lot more than people even think. and especially the animal mummies. Cats, in particular, cats were revered. So were dogs. So were hawks. They revered life really, and it's an amazing culture. It's not the culture of today. They learned how to read their own writing from the Rosetta Stone and people learning it and then teaching them again. They had lost that language. If you'll remember, Alexander the Great had swept through there. That didn't help a lot. And then, of course, you had Mark Antony, the Roman who had become the emperor. By that point, I don't think he was because he was still running around killing folk. So I thought she had an ingenious idea. The woman was absolutely intelligent. She rolled herself up in a carpet and they unrolled her at his feet, and he liked her spunk too. I thought it was pretty badass. I'd have tried it. Bad thing is they had to kill the brother, yeah, because he was already pharaoh, and make her the pharaoh. Then he marries her. I'm not sure how what all that was about. She has two children. That's not usually in the movie, and Elizabeth played that very well. In any event, I don't think that anybody got up as a pharaoh and said, "Let's just do this. We're going to face it out with white stone so it gleams. We're going to put this big gold thing on the top. You can see it from space, and you really actually can." And the Great Wall of China. I forget there's a third one, but I can't remember what it is. In any event, yeah. So I'm like, okay, I'm looking at this stuff, and I'm like, okay, Christopher Dunn. Bless you, sweetie. I've seen your book. I need to go ahead and download that book. In any event, he had said he's an engineer, and he said these specs were too just they couldn't have been done with any chisel or hammer. Now I have seen the statue of David in marble that was done. Oh my God! Just oh my God! I've seen many marbles that were done. One was of Saint Teresa. Another one had the veiled lady, and I was like, how in the world did they do that? Absolutely amazing stuff. But we're looking at things like stone that's is almost hard as a diamond, which is what we use as the hardest. And yet they had perfect, and he's using machinery parts and engineering and doing all this stuff. I have no idea what it is. But he said flat out, this was technology. And I've been screaming this since I was a kid. And back then, you couldn't find anything. You go to 15 libraries. There's a printer about this big, and maybe a picture of King Tut. Now that was it. So and you just couldn't get it like you can today. It's been an amazing trip for me. So I said all along though, I was like, you're still calling them tubes. It's the 21st century, and now that they've done the satellite lidar, that's the word, and they've shown that there's all this equipment and all this stuff down beneath the Giza Plateau. Also, we all know the head don't work on the Sphinx. I think it was Anubis, or it could have been a lion because it was directly a reproduction of Leo or more Orion. And there's no doubt about that either. The pyramids, everybody said, oh, it's got four sides. I actually asked somebody not long ago, they went, four sides? I was like, eight. That's a new one. Well, in the 21st century, I think it was, might have been the end of the 20th. I straddled two centuries, and when I hear myself say that, I go, huh? Because when you're young, which was many moons ago, you're thinking, I might make it to 90. Because as a hippie, I mean, we went through until we had to just let everything go but focus because they changed equipment on us every 6 weeks. So you were constantly in classes or colleges or what have you. I was a single mom for a long time, so I didn't sleep till like 99. But my husband made me start driving, by the way, in 93. He said, I'm not going to take you right anywhere. You got to drive. Because in Georgia, you don't have any, you can walk, you can ride a bicycle, get your scooter, but you're going to have to do something because the bus and taxis do not run there. It's just dirt red roads. I'm so glad to be in Augusta. I had been down in what is called Middle Georgia. It's at small cities. If you've got a Taco Bell in your city, you're doing great. Usually you don't, but it's below Macon. And it's above, of course, the Florida Georgia line. which is actually, I think, growing up now. Everything else is. When we moved here to Augusta, it was really nice. It was a small town. They had a new subdivision where my son and his wife had had their home specifically built. And it was great because you could drive out there and you could see the new Walmart. And it was one exit away, but no traffic. Yeah. Well, they brought Kelly to Warner Robins, and I said then, "Oh my God, this is going to be awesome because you're getting 60,000 people if you count, dependents." And then I get here. It was at Lackland. I think it was Lackland. Yeah, it was Lackland that went to Warner Robins down below Macon where we were, and it was Kelly that came here a few years ago. Ah, the building boom. It went just stupid. You can't even get off an exit from where I am now. I'm serious to God. You got to wait in line. I don't care if you're going right, straight, back. You got a line all the time. They've changed that area. It used to have stop signs, but nothing to it. Just dip, dip, dip. And literally, it's like 5 minutes to get to my son. Now, if you're not careful and you hit that traffic, you're there for 2 and 3 hours just to go in 5, 10 minutes away. It's been crazy. So that's what it's like here in Augusta now. If you haven't been lately, if you are here and you want to see me, say so. The bar's open. Or I should say, for those of you who don't want to drink, the bar's closed. My half will be open. This is the only time I get to actually sit down, enjoy my cigar, my little cigarillo, have me a little bit of a drink. My husband calls this my drunk time. He provides the little cigars. I don't buy myself, and my liquor. He buys me those whiskey. What are they? Cinnamon. Yeah, it's a Fireball. It's a whiskey Fireball. It has this bust of cinnamon, and it is just awesome. I'm not one of those pina colada girls. Never was. I think the worst I did was a screwdriver when I first started drinking. I was 17. If I could shoot somebody dead, you better serve me a drink back in those days. And we meant it. When we walked out of there, we were like, we really were. My former, um I was engaged to, we had stopped the engagement because he was already active duty Army and he knew I intended to go. I had been doing training for like most of my life to go into the wax. My dad was Navy at World War II. I didn't want to be a wave. I didn't care for the water. And so I had decided between Air Force and Army. Army was better in rank. You advanced quicker in the Army for rank than you did in the Air Force. It took a long time in the Air Force. I was like, I was always one of those in a hurry. Like I said, I enlisted and was on delayed entry because I wasn't even old enough to go, even with parents' signature. Although finally I was. That's, of course, unbeknownst to me, was now regular Army. Loved it. Not one of us women fell out. Not one of us women left. They gave us all a choice because it literally pretty much happened while we were in midair, en route, whatever. And it was, you can go back home. There won't be a record or anything. It's not against you. We're like, bring it. We done got this. We hadn't slept in 4 days. You could have told us to fight a gorilla. We would have tried it. We were just punch drunk by 4 days. You got all your gear, a duffel bag, and I'm 5 foot freaking two, for God's sake. The radio back in those days weighed as much as I did. I kid you not. Everybody at some point had to carry that radio. Like boot camp, you had to march 15 miles fully loaded. And back then, you did not wear sneakers. You didn't wear shorts. And ladies, I appreciate seeing all of you. But I am stunned at seeing you in shoes, a running shoe, and shorts. Because we would have loved that. We were in full combat gear back in MASH day times. OD Green. We had sea fucking rations. We hated bivouac. The only thing we could look forward to is if we had gotten through whatever testing had to be done. Sometimes the mess hall would come down and we'd get hot food. Oh, because sea rations, you're not hot. They don't send you. These are little cans of what the hell. I don't know, but we're going to eat it because you're hungry as hell. Um, you had cigarettes and matches also were tucked in some of the kits. Back then, if it was smoke them if you got them. And believe me, I didn't smoke when I got there, and I was a virgin. Another book. but I smoked when I got out. By the time I got out of boot camp, I was a smoker. Yes, I was. Because the rest of us are standing at attention, everybody else sitting on their asses to have a cigarette. I'm like, oh, fuck that. Give me a cigarette. I'll pay you next week. I'm going to get a carton. And I did. Then they made me quit about 6, 7 years ago. So a friend of mine here at the bar, of all places, he pulled one of these little cigarillos out. And I was just, where did you get that? Because I have to have that. I hadn't seen them since, like the 80s when I was smoking them. And I like those. And he's like, oh, you can get them anywhere. And I was like, well, I don't know how I haven't seen these things. But okay. And so my husband buys me a pack. And after that, I had to have them at least when I'm up here having a drink or what have you. And as long as I don't go stupid or start buying my own, which would mean I really was smoking too much, then he's okay with me having them up here, which is cool. And I'm almost, I got a little bit of time left to see if anybody wants to pop through. I've hit several topics, so you're about on your own. As far as the Egyptian thing, I mentioned that because I hope people are seeing what's coming out, what little bit is. There, Atlantis was just as real as Troy. This guy, if you read the Critias as well, um, this man could be taken at his word. If he said it was 20 stadiums long, that's what it was, 20 stadiums. I can't remember the conversion. Look it up. You've got Google. Back in my day, IBM was a complete building, and that was the ones that just shot rockets in the air. That wasn't the ones that had the dogs and the people in them. It was one huge building, and it didn't do as much as our phones do now. I can get on my phone, and I don't do Instagram, but I could, and be talking across the world. And I don't know why I don't. I just don't find the time. If you guys are seeing me, and here I am in Augusta, Georgia, if you want to come on to a split screen, we can do a Zoom call. Let me know you're interested, and we'll set that up. If you don't want to do that, I understand that too. Like I said, friends and family don't understand how I get up here and talk. They won't do it. They're like deer in a headlight. It's like, what's your name? Yeah. Do you live in Augusta? So it's like, okay, I can understand. You might not want to be on the show, but you could talk to them all day long while you get drunk, and what have you. The circle's going, and it's a little smoky, and I'm the only one allowed to smoke, and this is the only time I smoke in the house. Although I'm still getting grief. Yeah, my husband repainted the house for me, and he chose great colors. I love the light blue in here. But yeah, this is the living room, dining room, all into one. We had to take everything apart. It's not a great look behind me. I'm still not completely healed, and I'm really lazy lately. Mm, Men don't clean. Cats, you think are really, really clean. They clean themselves all the time. They're not clean. I'm always trying to get cat hair up, and we always raised chows. Always had chows since even when I was in the military before I had my son. And we had a chow husky mix was our last one, and it broke us so bad. It's hard when they leave us, and that was it for us. We weren't going to have any more animals, and we're literally running a cat shelter outside and almost inside for have to take to the vets and do all this stuff, and it's a lot of money. And I can't do it for all of them anymore. And yet people we're on a cul-de-sac. And after Hurricane Helene come through, even the vegetation and trees beside us and behind us were gone. We had a tornado come straight through. We don't know how it didn't hit anything but the hothouse. We don't know. There were 30 trees at least down out there that my husband by himself took care of and got out to be picked up because they wanted $5,000-6,000 to do this. So my husband and a friend of his started renting equipment and then bought equipment and started helping all of our neighbors and then his friends' neighbors and their friends' neighbors pass the word. And for 2 years, my husband was doing that kind of work, which kind of worried me because I couldn't move. That was the 2 years that I was so hurt. It hit. I was 2 weeks down when it hit, and I was due that morning to go get surgery. I had have a bunch of stuff done, in particular on the left. I mean, the right leg and ankle. And they called me and they said, was I coming? It was like about 5 o'clock. It was bad then. It was so bad. I've been in hurricanes, but not as strong of a wind and rain situation that we were facing that day. And I'm crippled, period. I couldn't even drag myself. It was that bad. And my husband's going to have to get me into the car and carry me to the car. And any movie makes, I'm just about to scream because it all hurts so bad and soaked and this kind of thing. And just before we leave, they call and say, don't, we're out of power. Even the surgeons can't make it. And come to the ER after it passes, and we'll see what we do about the pain medication because I was out of pain medication that day as well. And you can't believe the kind of pain I was in. and I couldn't even go to the ER. It took me a week to be able to get up and get it and get to the VA, which was downtown. And they didn't have any power there and generators only for the emergency room. That was it. And the pharmacy. And so they got that fixed up for me and got me through. And it was a month before I even had the first surgery. And the surgeon that saw me was from the University of Augusta. And they had sent me there because the VA still wasn't up. It was that long. And it had been exactly a month since they said I had had surgery, of course. And young boy, he seemed so young. He seemed younger than my son, truthfully. And he's looking at the x-rays and he looks at me and he says, you this happened a month ago? And I said, yeah. And he said, oh my God, I want you in here in the next few hours. Can you make it 4:30, 5 o'clock? Because we have to do a lot of work on the nerves and things before we even put you in surgery. And I was like, yeah, no problem. I was like, because I thought, man, I could move. I was wrong, but they were very good to me. I had a team of like 15 people working on me, and the work they did was amazing. And I can now walk again. When I saw the injuries myself, I didn't think I'd ever walk again. Not well. And my husband had a fit at me. He used to. We got together. Was that you don't walk like a woman? You march because everybody noticed that I matched him stride for stride. So we had learned to do that in the military. You had to match the men. You didn't mincemeat. You didn't walk. No, and they called it a 15-inch stride. I don't know. I didn't measure it, but they did. So you learn to do that, and I still do that. And even though I didn't think I would walk again very well, I can't really march long, but I can almost do it, and I'm glad enough because I can walk. And like I said, when I first saw all the damage, and at my age, I thought I thought I was going to be in a wheelchair, honestly. So I'm very very grateful to all the help there, and they did a good job. Physical therapy, I can't get my glasses right. Physical therapy there and so forth. I think I'm just going to be, and then I go blind for a second. We're going to let those be because they're driving me crazy. So I had all of that going on, and now I'm back, and I keep hearing. I love the new Trump Thump. That's great. That's a great song. I'm trying to keep my earphones on my head. They're sliding just a wee bit, and so I think those things seem to be addressed. And the civil disobedience that they did to the president and still do. And I agree with the fake news. And I love the Pocahontas bit. That's wish I had thought of that one. Um, I'm up here to say we hippies did not do this to Congress. The few that are in there are older than us, are younger than us. I didn't see any hippies. I've been stationed and I have worked in D.C. myself. I was there at the beginning of the food stamp program, which is run by the agriculture section. Worked with my mother-in-law, and another first. We got those done. It was an exciting time. It really was, and this is early '80s, and we started being able to give people money so they could buy groceries. And it was always because I'm a poor woman, I'm adopted, and we were poor. And it's like if dad place went on strike, he couldn't go to work, and you didn't go. If you had a soup kitchen, it might have some bread and soup. They finally started giving out cheese, powdered milk, and peanut butter. My mother used to make her own bread. My but my parents were Depression era. They had when they bought this home, and it was the suburbs of the '60s. So you can imagine the '60s cars, sitting there. Dad had an Edsel. I am not young, but they had a garden, and they planted a ton of fruit trees, everything, plums, apricots, cherries, pears. They had they had orange trees. They had all these fruit trees, and they grew raspberries and strawberries and all of those things. Away from my dad's garden, like his dad had his garden. You didn't miss dad's garden, but Danny did sweet potatoes, onions, tomatoes, uh, lettuce, all kinds of stuff. His peppers were the thing for him. Great people, great people. Today, if Walmart closed, people in the millions would die within a week because they don't know how to do anything. You When there's no food in the food chain supply, and we've seen it happen while my husband was still training people, and he even went to drive in again himself to get the groceries to the food products, such as to get them on, because otherwise, with any disruption in the food chain, millions are starving. They carried this so far though that I thought was stupid, but they had thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of businesses closed, so people had no work. They had three kids, and they went from a house in the suburbs to living in their freaking cars overnight because like Fauci decided, let's not reopen everything. Everybody will die. But it was okay for the protesters to burn down police stations in Seattle during it, but you couldn't go anywhere but Walmart. Now, I disagreed with all that, but I didn't care. I was just first a newly retired woman, and just prior to my accident, I was doing a lot of work on the home. And I couldn't believe what I've seen lately. 111 times the man said he had to plead the fifth. Josh Harley, Senator Harley, asked Holly, and he asked him, "Is my tie red? I got to plead the fifth on council. Okay, colors the rug. I got to plead the fifth." He's got a presidential pardon. They can't touch him. They can't touch him. He's only there to testify about contempt. Are you guilty of lying to said Americans and the world about this, that, and that? And did you make millions doing so? He's pleading the fifth. Even though he has a full presidential pardon, that auto pen was freaking busy. You got to wonder whoever was running that, how much they made. Jill, they talk trash about Donnie. Ugh. The bad thing, and I feel for Biden, they used the man. I don't think cognitively he was there even when they decided he was running for president. I remember seeing a gig of his where they were trying to set him up to kind of casually walk out with his aviator glasses, looking like he was just 60 when he was 93, the wig and everything. Come on. Biden had more hair 4 years ago than he did in 1984 when he became, I think, then a senator. He had more hair now. Come on. So he was trying to say he was practicing with his aviator glasses. Now they had to filter the shit out of this because the liver spots and I'm old. I have knowledge of what happens to the body. None of us like it. We all pretend it's not happening, and we all find ways to get around it. For me, it was where something that covered everything from the neck and the arms down to the toes. I love it. uh, there are times when you get that chicken thing going on, so you're trying to always go, oh, yeah, I used to almost be, well, I was passable. I'm 61 now. I told my closet the other day, I looked in there, I said, what you got in there that make a woman over 60 look good? The damn door slammed shut. I was like, had to go to another closet. It's so bad. It really is bad. I was a waitress at the Last Supper, so I love it when they ID me, which is rarely, unfortunately. Don't go to drink much, have a bar at home. So we know I've talked about all these places that they found with the lidar and the satellite lidar and the fact that Zahia was is saying it's not true already. Edgar Casey has never ever ever been proven wrong. The American Medical Association, he is the only person that was given a license to practice medicine without setting one foot into a college class for medicine. Now, how good is that? Read it up. I'm talking. The man even had a thing you could use for baldness, and people grew their hair back. I've been a Casey fan since literally younger than 10 years old, and it's something enlightenment. I can't think of it. Research and enlightenment. It's in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and he had over 14,000 readings. For him, readings were lying down on this at home on a specific couch. He would loosen his tie a little bit and place his arms across his chest, slow down his breathing, and they would wait a minute till his breathing. It wasn't long. He would drop right into it, and he learned to trust no one but his wife, and then a secretary called Gladys, and they would ask him. People telegraph. This was during the time of the telegraph when he first started getting these visions, and they would say that, they've got a little girl who's 12 years old. She fell from her horse while she was riding, and they're saying she's only got hours to live. Is there anything that can be done? Because the physicians couldn't do anything. They can't save her. And he would say, "I've got the body. She's in pink pajamas." And she was at home. Back then, when you saw doctors, people, mainly you were at home. I know when I was a kid, if you saw a doctor, it was at home. And he would say, we've got the blood, we got this, we got that. Okay, she has a problem. She needs to see a chiropractor, which was an unusually brand new thing back then. This is the early 1900s. When she fell, she injured a vertebra, but it's easily fixed. Take her in to see the chiropractor and have him do all of the things that chiropractors do. And I actually work for a chiropractor's office, and they are pretty good. Actually, I learned and actually treated patients myself. I became an LVN. I used to teach paramedics before we had. I call them ambulance drivers now, and I have reasons to be another book. So all of this stuff was going on for Edgar Casey by telegraph, and yet he could, do this. The girl's parents are then, you know, telegraphing back when it works. She can stand, she can walk, she can eat, she can talk. She's perfectly fine. It was a realignment. I couldn't think of what exactly he really wanted to concentrate on, which was the realignment of the spine. And it worked. And she was at death's door. These were the only people that Edgar Casey, who's called the Sleeping Prophet, was able to do anything about, of course, even though the American Medical Association had given him a medical license to practice. But there was a particular one. A young lady had been bitten by something, a spider or something, and she was dying. She was terminal. They said it was her brain. It was a tumor or something of this line. And this was, she was in a coma. She didn't have but maybe 2, 3 days to live at that because her organs was going to shut down. Not like today. They hook you up to everything. And so they telegraph and they go, "What do we do? Do you have any idea? What's Can we treat her? Is there anything we can do?" Because he started saving thousands of people. And so he sent, and I'll never forget it, he sent back that go to the pharmacy on 86th and 5th Avenue and get oil of smoke. It's in a bottle. Tell them you need 8 ounces of oil of smoke. And go home and mix that with a little bit of water. I think it was a couple teaspoons or tablespoons, something to that effect with water, and make sure she can drink it. And she'll come around, she'll start getting better. And she's to take those two twice a day, and she'll be fine. And they run to this pharmacy and they telegraph back. Everybody had a telegraph office. They telegraph back that oil of smoke has been discontinued for 5 years. Nobody's got it. He said, "Go back to the pharmacy and tell them that they have a blue bottle of oil of smoke on the fourth shelf behind a row of bottles." And he goes back, and I don't know if you've seen an apothecary kind of thing, but that it was wooden shelves and things and glass bottles. And so the guy gets the letter and he goes up, and there's the blue bottle of oil of smoke. And the father rushes home and they give this to the daughter, and she's starting to shut down. And twice a day. And by the next day, she woke up. She still couldn't move and stuff as well, but she woke up. He also told them whatever it was that had bit her, and to have the doctor incise that, make sure it was cleaned out and all of that, the venom, I guess, because it's in the head. And they did do that. The doctors came and they did that. And she took the oil of smoke, and that I we had penicillin. I think, yeah, we had penicillin then, but not too many other things that would work on like sepsis and stuff. But the little girl, it was a little girl again, and she came out of it just fine. Within, I think they said 4 days, she was out playing. But she was at death's door when they tell. This is why the telegrams were just flying, because they were running out of time, and this was their only child. And even if it's not, you don't want to lose your child if you can find a way to save them. So this is the kind of man I'm talking about that knows all about. What he said was the Atlanteans either reincarnated, or the Atlanteans that survived, both of these, by the way, went to Egypt and jump started Mesopotamian area. Got to look at that uh, civilization. But because the Atlanteans had been wiped out, they, obviously something bad had happened here on this planet. Our planet does this wobble thing. They've never been able to find another planet that wobbles. None. So something happened that literally threw the Earth off of its axis. The Aborigines have a story that the moon was brought here, and then all kinds of havoc was created. The moon being too close or too far, something of this effect, it was moved again or something, but wreaking havoc on the planet. And then everything settled down, and the moon's been there since. The Dogon warriors in Africa knew there was a Sirius B planet. We knew about Sirius A. We didn't know nothing about there being a Sirius B, and they had known for hundreds of generations. So there's all kinds of stuff that we could talk about. I love history. I love paranormal. You can't disagree with the paranormal. Like I said, since 2010, there are cameras everywhere. People put cameras on just to watch their pets. There are cameras everywhere, and they're picking up so wild as shit. And I got to go with biblical. There's some things I've seen lately. I'm like, holy, what the, you know. I've seen fairies. I've seen brownies. Yeah, some of it might be cap, but not all of it. Some of the footage is from the 90s. And my husband and I, we had camcorders. When the first digital cameras come out, we had to have one of them. My husband's bad about that. I must have had 20 phones since 89. He had me on a phone in 89. I hated it. And being always running a secretarial type thing. So I was always grabbing this phone, that phone, telling somebody on. usually some surgeon who wanted, 150 copies of the test. We did not have Xerox, okay? So when he wanted 150 copies, you typed them up, and you had to use carbon paper, and you could only use two because the rest would be unintelligible. So 150 copies could not just be gone. You couldn't just run to a Xerox. We did not have a typing pool. I was it. Now, I typed 145 words a minute without errors, but you still got to take time to be able to get that many going. You can do the math. And so if they told me this at noon, there's no way I'm out of there at what? I used to work 6 to 3. So there's no way I'm out of there at that. Usually I'd finish up in the middle of the night and leave a note stuck to the colonel's door. I'm not coming tomorrow. I'd show up anyway, but she thought that was funny. I was serious, but she thought it was funny. Turned out she was gay and she liked me. I had not a clue. Back then, that wasn't something that was even on the radar. I mean, I didn't know anybody at that point. I didn't think I did, but it turned out he did know a few gay people. I don't care. That's not mine. That's the other thing about people. I don't understand all this bias and all this hatred toward each other. When they go to a hospital, the hospital says, we're going to have to give you an IV you got to have an infusion of blood. You don't go, hey, no, no, I got to have this blood or that. No, you may not even be conscious, but that blood saves your life, no matter what human it's from. Stop doing that. I'm this label, I'm that label, and nonsense. You're a human being, and you need to get used to that because they've already come out with the shit. Finally, the government has released the shit that John Kennedy tried to release. They shot him in the head twice about the UFOs, and they are really here. Now, at some point, they thought, oh, we were all going to panic. It looks to me like I went, man, I got to worry about tomorrow night's supper. And it's true. I mean, this is what happened to we hippies. We just could not juggle enough to stay. What are you doing to our country? Why are there people here from the refugee camps in Africa and they're in the Senate and the House? What are you doing? It's supposed to be American born only to run for office. So what are you doing? And these people hate America. I mean, with it, and they're not quiet about it or nothing. They tell you to your face. I mean, Sanctuary City, my ass. Fort Sumter fired a cannonball. We went to Civil War. Think about it. This was a little fiery one. I got to get off now because I got to do stuff. I see I've tried to get that to go. I may have lost screen. I don't even know. All right, guys. I'll see you on Friday.